Grand Betrayal. Chechens in Mariupol turned against Russians. At the same time, Russia is facing the greatest dilemma since the beginning of this war, and most likely related to this event, Russia is now setting the new goals for this special military operation. But more about all this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. So, the Minister of Defense Sergei Shoigu, he was visiting this exhibition of the Russian military equipment called Armia 2023. And during this exhibition, he found a very interesting piece of an equipment. A robot called Alyosha, and whenever he was approaching him, was inspecting him, talking to him, the only thing I can think about is that Shoigu is asking, so, guys, can this robot fight? No? So, if he cannot fight, what's the use of him? Like, what is he gonna do if he's gonna save lives? That's cringe, bro. So, if he's not gonna fight, then, I mean, what do we do with this person or robot? I would say we should put him straight to jail. But besides that, Sergei Shoigu made another statement about Russia changing its new goal for this special military operation. So if you remember, in the past it was to defeat Nazis in Ukraine, not to let NATO expand, and this one specifically failed completely. And so the new goal of this, special military operation, according to Russia, is to return as many Russian prisoners of war home as possible. So it was like, okay, we guys failed with the one, we failed with the second, we failed with the third. Let's now finally select something achievable, something easy, so we can at least say some kind of victories to our people. And believe it or not, today is a pretty long episode of ridiculous Russian propaganda. So, this new protection for Russian tanks was introduced, which kinda looks like these cover curtains, the one which used to be in harems in the last several centuries. Definitely they do not look like protection at all. I mean, what kind of missiles are they gonna stop? Instead, they only gonna make it complicated for personnel to go inside and outside of this combat machine in case of emergency. So in fact, they only made it worse. And well, I hope all this lifted your spirits, just like it did mine, and I also just want to thank you, every single one of you, for your birthday wishes. It meant a lot, guys. And just if you don't mind, can you please like this video and subscribe to my channel as a late birthday present. And don't forget, I also have a gift for you, these nice aluminum and leather wallets, which you can win completely for free. And all you need to do to participate is to simply follow me on Instagram and be on lookout for the giveaway details. The link to my Instagram is down below. But okay, and now let's get back to some serious news, because recently there has been yet another massive shelling by Russians against Ukraine. After this I'll give you a very quick update from the east and south of the country, the betrayal of Chechens and Russia's greatest dilemma. And first of all, several Russian missiles have been intercepted above Lviv, but the debris unfortunately fell on residential buildings. Then we have another attack by Russians which happened in Lutsk, and the target this time was the Swedish manufacturing factory called SKF, which was allegedly producing bearings for vehicles. Our next stop brings us to the middle of Ukraine, to the city called Cherkasy, where as a result of Russian shelling, approximately 12,000 of its residents were left without water. And then, unfortunately, even more attacks by Russians happened against the small city called Kramatorsk. And just overall, a total of 16 out of 28 Russian missiles have been intercepted last day. Right, and now as promised, let me give you a very quick update from the east and the south of Ukraine. And first of all, we have to make a stop in Chernihiv region, where recently Ukrainians prevented two diversion group of Russians crossing the border. Then we already go to the east of Ukraine, where according to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, both Russians and Ukrainians were engaged in combat activities along Kupiansk-Svatove-Kreminna front line, and unfortunately, as you can see from this map, Russians were able to recapture some territory to the west of Karmazinivka. And honestly, the pressure of Russians in this region increased recently. That is why, according to the representative of Ukrainian army Sergei Shoigu, Ukrainians had to bring additional reinforcements to these territories. Then we have these videos somewhere from the eastern front lines where Ukrainians pushing the positions of Russians and doing it successfully. They are even able to capture some Russian prisoners of war. And what is most interestingly about this video is that the Russian guy almost shares exactly the same story as my friend. He was deceived by the Ministry of Defense of Russia to be sent to Ukraine to fight on the front lines, and now his life pretty much is in great danger. If you don't know the story of my friend, please go ahead and watch my video. Previous videos, unfortunately, he was eliminated in Ukraine. And this full video, if you want to see the full version, you can find it on my Patreon. The link is down below. Moving back to the actual front lines, as you can see from this map, Ukrainians were able to recapture just a little bit of land to the east of Belohirivka, and then as you go a little bit more to the south, they were also able to liberate some territories to the northeast of Spirne. And as we go down to one of the most active battle zones in the entire country, the city of Bakhmut, right here is yet another video of a tank raid by Ukrainians. If you've never seen the footage of a tank combat this close, you should definitely check it out. Link is down below. But wait, there is more. As we go down all the way to the south to Marinka, a Russian mine-sweeping equipment, along with the assault group of Russians, has been completely nuked, obliterated to pieces as a result of a Ukrainian attack, as you can see from this video. Right, and now let me give you a very quick similar update from the south of Ukraine before talking the greatest Russian dilemma. And first of all, allegedly somewhere on Dnipro river, there was yet another attempt of Russians to do a reconnaissance using this boat, which has been completely unsuccessful because Ukrainians, they still use their drones extremely effective. But most importantly, as a result of incredible pressure by Ukrainians in the last several days, they were also able to reportedly already enter another major city in the south called Robotyne. We even have this small confirmation by this map that Ukrainians advanced closer, but it is not yet confirmed by this map that they entered Robotyne. And also we have this video showing the work of Ukrainian forces. But wait, there is more. Another key city has been liberated by Ukrainians recently, and one I'm talking about is called Urozhaine, and this is exactly the place where Ukrainians were using the cluster munition against retreating Russian forces. But today looks like there are some small battles happening to the southern parts of the settlement, and Ukrainians continue to use the same cluster munition already against armored military vehicles of Russians. And they are also extremely effective. And ultimately, as you go to another major city in the south called Mariupol, recently Chechens turned against Russians in this settlement. The exact cause of this conflict is still not clearly 100% known, but long story short, there was a shootout between Chechen soldiers and Russian soldiers, and yes, both of these were allegedly belonging to the Russian army, and there are casualties from both sides and unfortunately from civilians as well. But most likely it will be my personal assumption that the reason for this was just a regular day-to-day problems and insubordination by Chechen soldiers, because once again their leader is Ramzan Kadyrov, who recently disappeared and pretty much is almost never seen in public. So right now they kinda have to follow the orders from Russians, and I'm almost certain Chechens have absolutely no reason to fight for Russians in this war. That is why following orders from them becomes more and more complicated. And as a result of this problem reached its maximum escalation point, which even involved casualties. But honestly, I do not think that this was the first or even the last case of this happening, because it is pretty certain that Chechens are still not following too many Russian orders across the entire Ukrainian front line. It is just that these cases are being underreported. And to make things completely devastating for Russians, right now they are facing the greatest dilemma since the beginning of this war. This has been first officially noticed by the British intelligence report, which basically claims that Russian generals and officers, they have right now a very big problem to solve, whether to protect Kherson region or to move additional forces to Zaporozhye front lines. And to be honest, even though this is once again officially noticed by authorities already, we have been talking on this channel exactly about this dilemma for the last several days already. Then it has also been mentioned by the Institute for the Study of War, which basically means that this potential relocation of Russian forces to Zaporozhye region means that this is exactly where Ukrainians are depleting Russian defenses and extremely alarming for them raid. And guess what? If Russians redeploy their forces and reinforce Zaporozhye, especially if they do it from Kherson region, this will obviously inevitably weaken the defenses in that region. I mean, just take a look here. If Russians take their forces from Kherson region and bring them to Zaporozhye, this area will be extremely unprotected, and this is exactly the place where recently Ukrainians increased the number of their boat raids in attempt to cross Dnipro river. But if Russians do nothing and leave Zaporozhye frontline as it is, this will also create a problem on its own, because Ukrainians apply constant pressure in these places, especially next to Robotyne and Verkhnokamenka, pretty much every single day, and it's slowly eliminating the defenses and Russian soldiers. So honestly, the question here is, do you mind losing Kherson region, or do you mind losing Zaporozhye region? Because after all, if Ukrainians are able to successfully cross the river, they will most likely start marching towards Crimean Peninsula in the attempt to separate it from the rest of Ukraine. And if Ukrainians will be able to breach the defenses of Russians in Zaporozhye region, most likely they will start going first of all towards Berdyansk and to Melitopol, and still the ultimate goal of this part of the counteroffensive will also be to separate Crimea from Ukraine. So, as you can see, there is no good decision for the Russian military commandment, and the whole situation is lose even more. And Ukrainians right now, they chip the Russian defenses one soldier at a time, looking for the opportunity to exploit on their further success. And if they continue doing this, inevitably this moment will come, and I will do my best to be one of the first ones here on YouTube to report on the future potential liberation of massive territories in the south. And if you don't want to miss them, just please consider doing one simple thing: subscribing to my channel. The early access to my daily episodes, hundreds of uncensored footage, and just the best way to support the channel is through my Patreon. You can also unlock channel perks by becoming my channel member, or simply the PayPal link. Everything can be found on the right and down below. Thank you so much for your attention, товарищи. Please follow me on Instagram if you want to win these wallets. Beware there are scammers in the comments, and see you tomorrow.